On the morning of August 21st, 1911, visitors arrive at the Louvre Museum in Paris expecting to see the world's greatest masterpieces. But something was wrong. A crowd slowly gathered in front of an empty section of wall. The most famous painting on Earth was gone. No broken glass, no alarms, no witnesses. Just four empty hooks where Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece had hung for years. The world's greatest museum had been robbed. And the thief? He wasn't a master criminal. He wasn't a billionaire collector. He wasn't even a professional burglar. He was an ordinary Italian handyman. This is the unbelievable, true story of the man who stole the Mona Lisa and almost got away with it. Chapter 1. The most famous painting today, the Mona Lisa, is protected behind bulletproof glass, surrounded by security guards and watched by millions every year. But in 1911, things were very different. The painting was valuable, but it wasn't yet the global icon we know today. It hung inside the Louvre with surprisingly little protection. The museum itself had almost no modern security. No surveillance cameras, no laser sensors, no motion detectors. Only a few guards walked the halls. Employees often moved paintings for cleaning or photography. Seeing an artwork disappear from the wall for a few hours wasn't unusual. That tiny weakness would change history forever. Chapter 2. The man in one noticed his name was Vincenzo Peruggia. He was born in Italy in 1881. As a young man, he moved to France looking for work. He wasn't rich. He wasn't famous. He worked installing glass panels inside museums. Ironically, one of his jobs was helping install protective glass on artworks inside the Louvre. That meant he knew the museum. He knew its hallways. He knew its employees. Most importantly, he knew its weaknesses. For months, Peruggia quietly studied the routines. He realized one shocking fact. On Mondays, the museum was closed. Only employees were inside. It was the perfect opportunity. Chapter 3. The Heist. Early on Monday morning, Peruggia entered the Louvre wearing a white worker's smock. Nobody questioned him. He looked exactly like every other employee. He calmly walked to the salon care, where the Mona Lisa hung. He waited patiently until the room was empty. Then, he simply lifted the painting off the wall. He carried it into a nearby staircase. There, he removed the heavy wooden frame, the glass, the protective casing. Now only the wooden panel remained, small enough to hide beneath his coat. Legend says he struggled with a locked door before finally escaping through another exit. Within minutes, he walked out of the Louvre carrying the world's greatest masterpiece. No one stopped him. Chapter 4. The missing masterpiece. The next morning, museum visitors noticed the empty wall. At first, staff assumed photographers had borrowed the painting. Hours passed. Nobody knew where it was. Panic spread. The Louvre closed immediately. Police searched every room, every basement, every storage area. Nothing. France launched one of the biggest criminal investigations in history. Newspapers around the world exploded with headlines. How could the greatest museum on Earth lose its greatest treasure? Chapter 5. The suspects. The police questioned hundreds of people. Even famous artists became suspects. One of them was Pablo Picasso. Another was poet Guillaume Apollinaire. Both had connections to stolen artworks in Paris. For a short time, the world's greatest painter was questioned over the disappearance of the Mona Lisa. Neither had anything to do with it. Meanwhile, the real thief quietly kept the painting hidden inside his tiny apartment. It sat inside a simple wooden trunk, just a few miles from the Louvre. Chapter 6. 2 years of silence. For more than 2 years, Vincenzo Peruggia said almost nothing. He didn't try to sell the painting. He didn't show it to friends. He simply waited. Some historians believe he truly believed he was a patriot. He claimed Napoleon had stolen Italian masterpieces. In reality, Leonardo da Vinci had brought the painting to France himself centuries earlier. Peruggia's understanding of history was wrong, but he believed he was returning Italian heritage home. Whether he was motivated by patriotism or money remains debated today. Chapter 7. The Trap. In late 1913, Peruggia finally made his move. He contacted an art dealer in Florence, Italy. using the fake name Leonardo. He claimed he possessed the original Mona Lisa. The dealer was skeptical, but curious. He arranged a private meeting. When Perugia opened the suitcase, there it was, the real Mona Lisa, still remarkably well preserved. The dealer secretly contacted the police. Perugia was arrested almost immediately. The greatest art theft in history ended without a single gunshot. Chapter 8. The return crowds gathered across Italy. Thousands came just to see the recovered masterpiece. The painting toured several Italian cities before finally returning to France. When it arrived back at the Louvre, the public reaction was overwhelming. Ironically, the theft made the Mona Lisa far more famous than ever before. People who had never cared about the painting suddenly wanted to see it. Its disappearance transformed it into a global legend. Sometimes, losing something makes the world appreciate it even more. Chapter 9. The thief's fate. Perugia received a surprisingly light sentence. Only a few months in prison. Many Italians considered him a hero. After serving his sentence, he quietly returned to ordinary life. He eventually fought in World War I, then faded into history. But his crime never did. Conclusion today. Millions of visitors squeeze through crowded galleries every year just to catch a glimpse of the Mona Lisa. Protected by bulletproof glass, surrounded by security, watched by cameras 24 hours a day. All because one ordinary man, wearing a worker's uniform, walked into the Louvre, picked up the world's most famous painting, and simply walked out. It remains one of history's boldest and most unbelievable art thefts. More than a century later, the empty space on the Louvre wall has become almost as legendary as the masterpiece itself. Sometimes, history isn't written by kings or generals. Sometimes, it's written by the man no one noticed.